Hello and welcome back to Ray's Coffee and Cards. We're going to end up doing another fall themed card, which for me is going to be one of my Thanksgiving card designs. For you, it may be the same. It could also be a fall birthday or any event that is happening in someone's life during the fall. Just real quick, I wanted to point out to my Paper Pumpkin subscribers that the new kit for the month of November is going to be Christmas themed, and rather than making cards, you're going to be able to make these little treat packages, and it features this little snowman, and of course I only get the same sneak peek that everybody else does. If you decide for any reason you don't want this kit, if cards are more your thing, then by all means go to paperpumpkin.com, log into your account, and click suspend. And you have until the 10th of November to do that. And then shortly after the 10th of November, they will be mailing your kit to you. I plan on going ahead and getting this because I feel like I can always do that for the kids at church if for, nobody else. There's enough supplies to create 9 oversized treat boxes, and they have coordinating food safe bags. And it will come in that special box. It has an exclusive stamp set that is supposed to have your classic Christmas sentiments in that, and a flirty flamingo classic stamping spot. So I'm really excited about it. I hope you guys are too. But again, if you would just as soon suspend it for 1 month, you can certainly do that. Now, speaking of when they ship this, I was not aware of this, and it was brought to my attention, and it wasn't by Stamping Up. I can't remember now what the email was. So I went to the post office website, and basically what it is saying is that there are going to be some service changes effective. It was effective October the 1st. So first class mail and periodicals may take longer to deliver. Now, they're saying that if you're mailing it within a local area, it will continue to be 2 days. If the mail is going further, the greater the distance, it's going to be the most affected, with a day or two of transit time added for some first-class mail and periodicals. Why am I bringing this up? Because as the holidays are coming and we all get ready to mail out Thanksgiving cards, Christmas cards, packages, and things like that, please bear that in mind, that you will want to give that a few extra days. I would just, to be sure, give it 5 extra days before you want that to get there, because the demand is going to be high during the holiday season, and things can get delayed even more. We all know this, right? Okay, so today's card is going to feature the Love of Leaves stamp set. Now, this first debuted last year, and it was brought over into this year's catalog. It is on page 115, and I'm really, really glad they did. I love this set. A lot of my stamps aren't in here because I already have them on blocks. You can see a lot of these leaves are missing. And here are the dies that you get. You not only get the outline of all the different leaves that are in the stamp set, but you also get the embossing die. And this particular set was made to where the embossing die fit perfectly inside the outline die. And I taped all of mine together so that when I run it through, it cuts it out, but it embosses it at the same time. And so earlier today, when I was playing with this set, I ran some through. Can you see that stitching on there? It's so pretty. Now, I had done these 3 thinking that I was going to attach them somehow to the outside of the card. And the design that I was coming up with, it just wasn't going to work. So I do have the, I'm not going to throw them away. I'm going to wait and save them for another project at some point. So let's get started on my technique for this particular card. It's not hard, it's easy. It really is easy, guys. So here was a card that I came up with. I started out with a Mossy Meadow card base, and it's your typical card base, 8.5 by 5.5, and scored it 4 1/4. And I used the basic white for the background. After I did this, I thought, you know, I could have used Very Vanilla, and I bet that would have been really pretty too. However, when I get ready to design cards and show you on these videos how to do these, I don't always assume that you have what I have, okay? And some people just may not have the Very Vanilla, but everybody has at least a white cardstock. So I used the basic white on this, and I used a technique. I first started playing with the baby white technique because I've done that in the past with great success. It wasn't happening for me today, and at some point we will do a baby wipe technique and show you how you can use that in your card making. But honestly, I just used sponge daubers today. Now on this card, my color scheme was crushed curry, pumpkin pie, and cherry cobbler. You don't see very much red. I was very delicate with the red. You can see just a little bit here and there. But for the most part, you see in more of the pumpkin pie and the crushed curry. And so my layer here is crushed curry, and it was cut at 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then this top layer, the white layer, was 4 by 5 1/4. I'm going to change that up just a little bit because I really like Cajun Craze when it comes to fall colors. So rather than Mossy Meadow, we're going to use Cajun Craze for the base. We are still going to retain the crushed curry. And if you don't have crushed curry, if you have that new in color, in fact, it's set to retire next year, Bumblebee. Bumblebee and crushed curry are very close. The crushed curry is a little brighter, I would say. Let me grab a piece of the Bumblebee and we'll just look at them side by side. Hadn't really planned on doing that. Let me get just a piece out. Okay, so here is a sheet of the Bumblebee, and here is the crushed curry. The crushed curry is just a tad bit brighter than the Bumblebee, and I'm hoping that when you're watching this, you can really see the difference, because what I'm seeing through my screen is not what I'm holding down here. But the difference is very, very slight. They are interchangeable. The inks would be interchangeable, so you use what you have, okay? I think even So Saffron would have been a really pretty yellow. You could have got away maybe with Daffodil Delight and kind of toned it down just a little bit. But my color scheme has changed to the crushed curry, pumpkin pie, and Cajun Craze. So for the moment, we're going to set this to the side. And I'm going to get my piece that is 4 by 5 1/4. I've got some scratch paper here. I save papers that maybe get printed out, and rather than just throw them away, I turn them over and I use the back side for practice stamping. And this was an announcement in the last video that I did of the Eden's Garden bundle that is still going on. If you want the DSP, if you want the stamps and the dies, the DSP and the cotton paper and the garden gems are only while supplies last. So if you've been thinking about it, I would go ahead and jump on it. I was trying to look at updates today when I was on Stampin' Up's website. I did not see that these were sold out yet. I have a sneaking feeling this Eden's Garden bundle, the dies and the stamp set, will probably make it into next year's catalog. I can't guarantee that, but these are only available while supplies last. So if you're thinking about getting it, you need to get jumped on that. Okay, so this is what I did. So I took my crushed curry. I took my biggest leaf stamp. Anytime you're kind of making your own background, you always want to start with the biggest stamp, okay? While I'm getting that ready, I'm going to go ahead and open my pumpkin pie. I'll lay that right there. And I'm going to go ahead and open my Cajun Craze. All right. So basically what I did on that first card, I stamped it very well in the crushed curry. I then took an ink dauber and inked it up with quite a bit of pumpkin pie. Now this is a pretty intense ink, and if you decide to try this, you'll just have to kind of experiment and see what works for you. And I haven't even tried the Cajun Craze. Like I said, I used cherry cobbler on the last one. Let's see how I'm doing here. Very, very well. And then, because it is such an intense color, maybe just little bits here and there. And let's see how this looks. I'm going to stamp it off over here on the scratch paper first. Awesome. I like that. I hope you do too. These are what is called distinctive stamps. Since I put those other colors on there, let me remove as much of that as I can, and we're going to start over. I really like that. No two cards will look the same when you do this, even with the same person doing this and with the same color of inks. It's just not going to look the same at all. All right. Let's get our Cajun Craze and just little bits here and there. Okay. Now, this is going to be a portrait size. And so I want most of this leaf in there. Again, I've got a little bit of paper like way up underneath, so I do have a little bit of cushion. There we go. Got that one. I'm going to put that to the side for the moment. No, I'm not. That's the biggest one. We're going to go again. Let's ink that up and crush curry. And, whoops. Let me get my, let me move this stuff more into camera range for you guys. I sure don't want to get those mixed up. And so I'm just pouncing, just here and there. Well, and I don't know about you guys, but the autumn leaves are really starting to fall from the trees now. I actually had to go out on my front porch earlier today and blow it off. I mean, it was getting pretty intense with the layer of leaves already. And I'm the kind of person, I love it when the leaves are thick on the ground. I love to scuff through them as I'm walking and get that kind of crunchy sound going. My husband hates them. He actually has a mulching blade for his mower, and he will mulch them every few days when they're falling. And he'll give me a warning when we know that we're about to the end of the leaf falling season part of it. He'll give me a heads up. Okay, just got a few more days before you have to say goodbye to all your leaves. And it's always so sad. Now, I'm just going to come up a little ways with this one. I've already stamped this one pretty much in its entirety twice. And this time, I'm going to get out my Stampin' Scrub instead of my chamois. I've actually been using my chamois all day, but honestly, it just makes a lot of noise on the video. So I'm just using my chamois, and it's clean. I haven't used this since I cleaned it a couple of weeks ago. I've just been using my chamois, but just not near as noisy. Okay, so we know that one's clean. Here's my second biggest one. We're going to ink that up in crushed curry. And here we go with a little bit of pumpkin pie. Just kind of, you know, if you want it around the edges. And Cajun Craze. I'm hoping you guys just don't get bored with all this. Repeat, 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 right? Let's put this one. It's okay if the leaves touch. I mean, it really is. It's okay if they're right on top of each other. I've been sticking my fingers in ink all day. I even had ink on the back of my hand there for a while. And it's like, how did I manage that? That kind of came out a little bit funny. I wonder if I can fill that in without it looking bad. There we go. Although, should have been a little bit better with that and not. Let's just take some of that ink off. Cajun Craze is pretty intense when you're going right into it with a dauber. Of course, the cherry cobbler was too. All right. Got a little bit of that off of there. A little bit. They'll all get a bath after the video, so it'll be good. All right, let's sync this up one more time. And I felt my finger go in that ink pad. Yep, got a little bit on there. A little bit of pumpkin pie. I'm going to put some on the stem even though it probably won't make it to the paper. And then I'm just going to lightly put some of that around. All right. Let's come in just a little ways with it. There we go. I like that better. It was a little bit more subtle and doesn't look quite so daubery. Is that a word? Since we're using sponge daubers. So, I don't know if I've told y'all before, you know, our cat, she's getting up there in years, and you know, for the last couple of years, she's really started having some issues, and especially digestive issues. And at one point, she would totally pass up a perfectly clean and fresh cat box, and would elect to use the floor instead, and drove me crazy. Absolutely drove me crazy. And it was getting bad enough. Honestly, I have been kind of steam cleaning almost every 2 weeks. And so I got the bright idea. I thought, well, you know, I just wonder if possibly puppy pads would work to prevent that. So yesterday, I got some puppy pads, got those put down on the floor for her, and when I checked this morning, she had already used 2 of them. I wish I could read her mind. I wish I knew why she, you know, insisted on not using the cat box all of a sudden. I don't know. I don't know. Can cats get dementia? Possibly. But, I mean, she's real sweet, and she does have some digestive issues here and there. And, you know, we all do, I guess, as we get a little older. Things don't work quite as well as they did in our younger days. And a lot of times we just have to be really careful how we eat, what we eat. I've had to make some dietary changes that I never thought I would have to make. So, yeah. Anyway, you live and learn. But the puppy pads actually worked. I was very impressed. Very impressed. And so I have several of them down in the living room. And as long as she is using those, that's great. We did take her to the vet to make sure that she did not have any kind of urinary tract infection. Because a lot of times if they have that, they associate going to the cat box with the pain. So we know that it's not that. And oddly enough, I checked her cat box a while ago and she has actually used it. And it's like, well, I'm not real sure what's going on there. But, so guys, basically all I'm doing is I'm just randomly stamping these, and I'm stamping them in different directions. And I'm using the smaller ones, to kind of fill in right there. And I think I'm going back to this one. And this should be probably our last stamp. Kind of think I like that dark Cajun craze around the edges rather than trying to stamp it on there. Wonder if I can get that in there. They may touch a little, but again, that's okay. I'm not trying to cover in every square inch of this. And I'm going to take this little one again one more time. Probably already have enough ink on here for that. And let's go this way. Like I said, if they touch, they touch. It's fine. Not a problem. All right. There we go. I think we have our background. This is filled in maybe a little bit more than up there. I used to do this kind of thing all the time and had gotten fairly good at it. And it's just like with anything else. You have skills that you have to develop, right? And if at first you don't succeed, try again. You will get it. I enjoy doing these different techniques. It's therapeutic. It's relaxing. And if you've got the time, by all means, go to your crafting area. If you have a dedicated room, a dedicated table, even if it's just your dining room table, and just sit down and play. That is how you find your inspiration. That is how you find your ideas. It honestly is. There's a lot of times I'll be thinking, okay, I need to get some birthday cards done, but I'm tired of my designs. I want to come up with something else. And so that's when you go and you start looking at what you have. And even if there is a way that you can combine what you have, you can take elements from 2 and 3 sets, and y'all have seen me do that. And I'm going to do it again tonight, because on my first card, the layers here with the sentiment and the backing behind it came from the seasonal label dies, and they are in the mini catalog. So that's what I'm using. I'm going to bring that in to the Love of Leaves. And the sentiment gathered together. This is a retired set, guys. And I'm so sorry. I try really hard not to do that. I'm very much, I guess, a traditionalist when it comes to like Thanksgiving cards. And this came out last year and it didn't carry over. And I'm not really sure why. Because it had great sentiments. You had your pumpkins, you had your wheat, you had a splatter stamp and the leaves. And let me show you the dies. Look at that. It not only cut the leaves, it embossed them. And how nice is that? And then you had this one really large leaf that it would cut out. But you could also stamp it. It didn't emboss it, but the detail was there through the stamp. And so I'm not real sure why it didn't make the cut. Not sure what criteria Stampin' Up! Uses to carry things forward or to go ahead and let them go. Right now, in this day and age of COVID, that may be affecting it a whole lot. Okay, so here is this part. I'm going to go ahead and marry that to the crushed curry layer. Let's go ahead and get that going. At least have that much done. I also did the envelope. I'm really bad. I got to thinking about the other day, and I realized, you know, I'm really bad about not showing them how they can decorate their envelopes. And some of you are aware of the ways that you can decorate your envelopes. Some of you may not be aware how you can also decorate your envelope. And so when I decorated the envelope for the other card, I didn't bother putting just all the colors on there. I just kind of went pretty much with the crushed curry. And I did stamp it off after I inked it up. I stamped it off one time and then went ahead and applied that just to give the envelope a little something, something. And you could always put, you know, a leaf on the front or anything like that if you wanted to also decorate the front. For me, I'm just going to leave the flap and I'm good with that. On the inside, I did the Season of Thanks. And again, that came from the Gather Together set. And I stamped off and then stamped Second Generation leaf over that. And that's all I decided to do to the inside of the card. Now, trying to use these leaves, and they were too big, and they just kind of, you know, they were so close to the background that I had stamped, so that's why I decided not to use them. But then I got the idea, wait a minute, I still have some gold and copper foil paper, and Stampin' Up! Still offers it in the annual catalog. It's on page 1, No, I take that back. Let me look at my cheat sheet here. It's in the mini catalog. They have the brush metallic, and it doesn't show up very well. It's on page 32, and it's the bronze, copper, and gold. It is 12 by 12 each. You get 2 sheets of all of the 3 colors, so 6 sheets total, and it's $15. Well, we had previously had the brush metallic, and I've just about used all of my copper that I had left, and I still have some of the gold. I don't think I have any of the bronze left. Now, in the annual catalog, on page 135, you have the gold and the rose gold. Again, it doesn't show up very well. It's almost like it's only taken up a little bitty part of the page. You get 8 sheets. There's 4 of each one. And let me show, I've already used a whole sheet of my gold. But isn't that pretty? And it's smooth, and it cuts like butter, just like our metallic cardstock does. And then there's the rose gold. Isn't that pretty? It's beautiful. It is beautiful. And it is only $5. So, depending on your budget and what you like, you might opt to pay $5 for the 6x6, get the gold and the rose gold, or you can pay $15 and get all 3 of the metallics, and it's a brushed metallic. Let me show you on my copper here. I don't know if you can see, it has that little bit of that brushed look. And I've just about gone through it all. Looking through my my camera, to me it's looking gold on the camera, but it actually is a very coppery tint to it. And it may show up better on this card, and I think it does. It's more of a copper. Okay, and I'm going to use the same thing on this card here too. So let's get this glue put away. And let's get ready to, I did not pre-cut my sentiments yet. So, seeing that I use Cajun Craze, we are going to very quickly die cut a piece of the background out of the Cajun Craze. And let me get my machine up. Honestly, I just forgot to pre-do it because I really didn't want to have to do this on video again. I decided after the last one that from now on I was just going to have everything pre-done because it speeds things up so much. And so when I went to look for the scrap to cut this out with, I found this stitched rectangle piece. And I instantly remembered why I had cut this. I did it last year. You would have thought I would have known better. And I looked for it thinking I had kept it just to show the ugliest card I ever made. But it had the Cajun Craze background. And basically, I wasn't trying to make a shaker card, but I had cut out the middle of it with one of the stitched rectangle dies. And I went out in the yard and I found some leaves that I thought were just really pretty and pressed them and decided I would put them behind that window sheet. Not to make a shaker card, but just to make a fall leaf card. Well, of course, the leaves didn't look near as good. And it was just so unbelievably ugly. It was horrible. I can't believe how bad it looked. And I thought, man, you know, how long have I been at this now? But yes, ugliest card I ever made. And I must have thrown it away. I do remember I had crushed curry and Cajun Craze. And it just, I mean, it had no redeeming qualities. So, guys, anytime you feel like something you've done is just really horrible, understand we all do it. We all do it. And the best advice I can give you when you think you have created something that is just all that bad, put it away for a little while and then go back and look at it. And, yeah, it may not be as bad as you think it is. Mine was bad. It was just bad every time I looked at it. So, yeah, I think I ended up throwing it away because I could not find it in my stash anywhere. Now, I had an envelope out so that we could decorate the envelope as well. Did I eat it? Is it stuck somewhere? Okay, may have to grab another one. Here we go. And knowing me, I could have picked it up and got distracted and laid it right back down over there. Who knows? Okay, so I'm going to open this flap up and open my crushed curry again. And, you know, if you want to go ahead and dab the other colors into it, you certainly can. You don't have to. Again, like I told you on the first one, I did stamp it off and then come up onto it like so. And I don't remember what the other one was that I used. Where did it go? No, I've lost it. Okay, I used that one and that one. So we're going a little bit backwards and doing it a little bit different. And these little ink daubers actually will hold quite a bit of ink. And this is a great technique if you don't have the Stampin' blends and things like that you can use. This works great. And you get 5 sponge daubers in a set, and I've never replaced mine. I probably need to think about doing that here pretty soon, but I've never replaced it. And they're doing fine. I take them to the kitchen sink and I just run a little bit of clear water over them until they run clear. They're stained, but they're good to go. Let's go this way. There we go. And there's our envelope. And it didn't take but just a few seconds. Yeah, when Love Leaves came out, there was actually some really pretty DSP that coordinated really well with the color scheme. And I wish it was still around. I actually do still have some, but I wasn't going to use it knowing that you could not get that any longer. Let's go ahead and stamp. We need to stamp our sentiment. So I need to get out the Gather Together. And I've already got it. Oh, wrong one. Yeah, I've already got it on the stamp set. Looks like I got something on there. Okay, because our card base is Cajun Craze, we're going to open up Mr. Cajun there. Stamp this up. Now, a lot of times it is my habit to stamp first and then die cut. I didn't do that this time. And so I'm just going to hopefully hold my breath and hope that's kind of sort of straight. Oh, that looks good. Well, sort of kind of. So we're going to camouflage that just a little bit. It's just a little bit crooked. I know nobody else ever does that, right? Nobody else ever gets anything crooked. Let's go back to this one. Let's get a little bit more ink going on it. Now, this is kind of time consuming. I get that. This is not, you know, necessarily the easiest way to do this. But, you know, when you're looking for something unique, I don't do cards like this for everybody. I don't have time. I just don't. I just do not have time to do that for everybody. Wish I could. But a lot of times we have family members or really, really close friends that we, you know, want to kind of go above and beyond the basic cards that we normally make. And so this technique is really good for that. It's also fun to just get in your stamp room and really play. I oil that pumpkin pie. This is how I got this. I don't know what happened, but it was fighting me so bad earlier today that I did take my 3-in-1 oil. And you can do that. You can oil your pads. And let me show you if you've never really looked. And you have this little ridge right down in here. Just 1 or 2 drops of oil on both sides. And then just slide it back and forth. It's actually sliding a little bit better than it was doing. And I may have to add even more oil. I don't know. I'll revisit that. But yes, it's perfectly fine. Use what you have. If you don't have any 3-in-1, you may have a little bit of olive oil in your kitchen. Totally non-toxic. So yeah, try that. All right, I am going to glue this straight down onto the background. Nothing fancy, nothing new there. We've all done this. Let's see if I'm... Well, if I put it on there crooked again, it'll really look funny. Am I positioned? Yeah. Whoops. Okay, we're good. We're good. Even though I stamped it crooked. We're fine. I'm going to leave it just like that. I'm not going to attach that just yet. First, I'm going to... We need to stamp on the inside what we want to put. And I elected to use Season of Thanks. So let's get the ink back out. If I'd been thinking, I wouldn't have put it up just yet. I would have left it out. Okay, Season of Thanks. Right there. Hold that a second. There we go. Got a good stamp on that. I am bound and determined to get into this ink. And it's just been that kind of a day. Okay, got that. Now, I want to use this leaf again. I don't know why I'm so in love with this one leaf. I mean, all the leaves are really pretty, but that one there is just one of my favorites. I'm not going to bother to dab all that other stuff on there, but I am going to stamp it off. And then we're just going to stamp that right there over it. There we go. By using that Cajun Craze and stamping this off, your sentiment still comes through really strong. Let's put that to the side. I want to go ahead and put this on the inside. And I did go ahead and pre-cut the metallic leaf for the outside to use. But when I get ready to put that on there is something important. I do want to tell you when it comes to cutting metallic cardstock and running that through your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, your Big Shot, whatever it is that you use. Don't learn the hard way like I did. All right, let's go ahead and get this on there. At this point, we're just putting it together. It's done. We're just assembling. So it's going to be downhill from here, we hope. We hope, we hope. Now, I did cut the crushed curry layer to have a real skinny border, so I did cut it, if I didn't tell you already, at 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then the white layer on top is 4 by 5 1/4. However, on the inside, I defaulted back to the 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Okay. Feel free to change up those dimensions to suit you. You might want the crushed curry at 4 by 5 1/4 and then make this piece 3 3/4 by 5. The advantage to that is that you would have less area to stamp and fill in, you know, with the leaves when you were stamping. Might save you a little bit of time, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it would look just fine. So we're going to take some dimensionals and pop this up. And you know me, you know, when you're using dimensionals, yeah, we don't want to be wasteful with any of our supplies. We really don't. But if you're going to do dimensionals, don't just stick 1 or 2 and then pop it down there. You're going to have, that sentiment is going to get creased and wrinkled and bent because you didn't put enough support to it. So if you're going to use dimensionals, use dimensionals. Put enough on there to really support your project. You get like, I think it's like 400 of these regular dimensionals in a package for $4. And I don't use them on every card. I don't pop everything up. But of course, you know, as card makers, we all tend to kind of go through, I don't know, times where we're using a lot of dimensionals and then times where we're hardly ever even touching them. And, you know, certain colors that we tend to gravitate to, and then pretty soon we're using, you know, different colors in our cards. So that's part of the appeal of the creative process. Nothing stays static in card making, ever. Okay, and I did kind of try to center this on my last card, and I will on this one. However, you know, feel free if you want to drop it down, if you want to raise it up. You don't have to do it right in the middle. You can make a design that you feel comfortable with. Okay. Now, what I was going to tell you about the leaf, about the metallic, and this goes for any metallic cardstock, it doesn't matter. So what I did, when I had the metallic cardstock down on my plate, and I had the die on there, I took a piece of cardstock, and you can see the outline of where I cut that. I took this and laid this over the whole thing, okay? The reason I did that is if your cutting plate, let me just get mine out. If your cutting plate is etched like mine is, see all that? The surface of this metallic cardstock will show. I mean, it will like chew it up. And you don't want that. You want that surface, that metallic surface, to be very pristine. Your regular cardstock isn't going to show it, but the metallic will. So anytime you get ready to use a piece of metallic, I ruined a really nice piece the very first time I went to use it because I didn't know to do that. And so now I know to always take a piece of card. It can be just a piece of scrap, as long as it's big enough to cover that piece that you are going to run through, then you're good. You're good. But if you forget to do that, you'll figure out real quick why I told you to use that piece of cardstock. The only other alternative would be to use a brand new cutting plate that has never been used. But that's not really feasible, because once you've run that through, then it's going to have etched lines in it as well. So your best bet, just take scrap. You could probably even get away with a folded piece of typing paper, printer paper, something like that. Okay. But yeah, that will protect your investment. And I don't use metallic cardstock a lot, but sometimes it's just that nice little touch. So I want ink. Oh, I want ink. I want glue right in here. Now, this kind of cuts through, but then not really. So I'm not worried about the glue oozing out. However, I use this in case it did. Oops. Come on now. Get back over here. I use this in case it did. One of the advantages to this glue, it's not sticky. So if you should get some where you didn't want it or need it, it's not a problem. It's not sticky. I am trying to see how to put this back in here. And I think putting my glasses on will help just a whole lot. Okay, now the final thing that I did, let's get rid of this. The final thing that I did for this card, and we do have them in annual catalog, is the champagne rhinestones. And I just thought the colors of the champagne rhinestone went really nice with this. Now, if you have things that are already color coordinated, or maybe all you have is the plain rhinestones or the plain pearls, you can color them with stamping blends and make them match whatever colors you're using in your project. But I don't use these very often. I love this color, but there are just some projects it just doesn't tend to go with. And so I was so delighted when I thought, oh, I can finally use my champagne rhinestones. But these are awesome. These are awesome. You can use the big ones. You can use the small ones. I've had these for quite a while. You get 140 in the package. So they're very much worth the price for these. These will add some rich elegance to your creations anytime you use them. Okay, let's get the other card back out. I don't know which one might be your favorite. And in thinking about doing this card today, if I had had time, I would have done some in some non-traditional colors and probably incorporated maybe a little bit of like soft succulent in there. I think that would have been really pretty too. Right now, I'm kind of leaning toward the Mossy Meadow card more so than the Cajun Craze. But let me know what you think in the comments below. And by all means, if you decide to do this technique, please upload your photos to the Facebook group, Heartful Stampers, or feel free to send them to me in an email. Any way you would like to share those, I would love to see what you come up with. I get such a kick out of it when people share what they're doing with me. And guys, even if it's not Stampin' Up! Products, I still want to see what you come up with. But anyway, here it is. Tomorrow's Saturday. I've got a full plate. My husband has a full plate. And so I'm just going to pray that everybody has a blessed night, get a good night's rest, and have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Bye.